Told you we had Jessica Thomas coming in the building. Appreciate her stepping in as always, and she brought somebody in with her. What's up, man? I'm good. It's always good to have you in, man. You know, Stranger to Strictly Hip Hop 90.7. Hold on, we gotta make sure we got it on here right quick. Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Get a little closer to the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I have to hold it up like this. All right.
Matter of fact.
Okay. So we good.
Yeah, we good. We
good.
live.
Okay.
We live, man.
All right.
But go ahead. I know that a lot of stuff has been going on in the area and in the country, and it's just crazy times right now. You said you also brought somebody that had a little personal connection with it as well. Just go ahead and expand on what do you think about what's going on right here in Peoria right now?
Right here in Peoria right now, I'm not here to condone or condemn any of the behavior that's been happening. I think it's very important for our community leaders to speak up about police brutality and the injustice against Black people here, and advocate for police reform, and also advocate for a closer look at the systemic racism that we have in all environments, whether it's in the hospitals, whether it's in education, whether it's in the police force, whether it's in, the workforce. We need to take a closer look at racism in all sectors, and it needs to be addressed. But police reform should be the first thing on the topic. We're done dying. We can't condemn the behavior that we've been seeing without addressing the root cause of why they're out here doing that. People are hurt. People are hurting. Some people are being opportunists, but for the most part, people are hurting and they're tired. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And it's not, George Floyd was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, it's a lot of people hurting out here, and to keep reliving the trauma of police-involved incidents that are taking family members from people, taking lives from people, that hurts. Every time you see that in the news, that hurts, and it's traumatic. It's really traumatic for the victim's family, and it's just like letting a serial killer off and keep seeing them do the same crime over and over and over again.
Right.
People are getting tired.
Definitely. And it's been crazy because, like you said, there's opportunists out there, too, that's kind of starting all of the actual rioting that's going on. You'll have your peaceful protest, and then later on, or in the middle of the crowd somewhere, you got somebody who's just there to mess stuff up. But I think, like, even with the opportunists, I think that in a way they're essential to the cause, because if you didn't have those people that wrecked stuff, then I think that the constant marching, it's needed. Protesting is needed, but sometimes you got to go a little harder so they can get the point. And not even just because they like, you messing up your own community. And it's like, I'm mad at you too because you ain't saying nothing. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm mad at these business owners that ain't hiring me because I'm a felon. I'm mad at, because the thing is, it's like, you don't have to be, not everybody in the system is racist, but if the system is racist, it don't matter. Because you just fall in line with the system, and then that's what happens. So, and to add to that, like, it's just, time is up. Time is up for having two justice systems in America. Time is up for, if you wear a badge and a uniform, you could kill someone and get off and still have a job the next day and still go home and see your family and go to sleep the next night. Still have your job. That's what's crazy. Like,
and
it ain't even like, oh, you didn't get arrested. You got your job still?
We are paying for you to protect us. We are paying. You work for the taxpayers. The taxpayers are paying for you to protect us, and you're killing us. And so it's like the blood is on our hands if we still allow for us to pay you after you kill us.
Right.
And so that's why for community leaders, it's imperative for us to be vocal and say something about it and speak out about it, because if we don't, we're just as bad as those looters. We're just as bad as that, because we're feeding that system if we're not saying anything and we're not standing up and we're not fighting for justice. We're just as bad as everybody else. Like, time is up for us to be silent. Like, So that's why I would never condone or condemn. So I'm not going to encourage or condemn people for doing whatever they feel like they have to do.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Yeah, I'm Louis Brown. I'm the brother of David C. Smith. He was actually murdered in 2010 by the Minneapolis Police Department. His death was ruled a homicide. Nobody was ever charged. No charge.
You said 2010?
Yes.
You said it was ruled a homicide?
Yes. They murdered my brother the same way, caused of death the same way, death by asphyxiation. They laid on my brother. It's video out there. I'm sure it's circulating everywhere right now. And I'm from Peoria. My brother also a Peoria native. So the thing about it is, with like Jessica saying, we're tired of the racism. We're tired of the police brutality. I'm a victim of police brutality. I was beat by the police a year before my brother died, and nobody came for my aid. They took me to jail. I went to jail. I got a mug shot, got a little time, a couple years of probation, but then my brother get murdered the next year. Still, we cry out. They give us some money, shove it under the bridge.
And that's a big problem too. Is they feel like they can just settle the issue with the settlement money. They give you $1 million or whatever, and it's like, but my brother ain't get it.
Right.
So it's still gonna feel weird. It's like it's almost like blood money.
Yeah.
You know
It
what?
feel weird.
Crazy thing about that is, we actually, my family and I actually received a $3 million award, I should say, not reward, because there's no reward now. It's
Right.
just what they call it in the courts, award. But the lawyers got 1.9 of that, and me and my siblings and my mother got to split 1.1. So if you break that down, I'm not going to do the numbers exactly because I don't want to put my people's business
Right,
out.
yeah.
But if you break that down, you'll see that it doesn't equate. It doesn't equate. The law should have been responsible for our lawyer fees. The law should have been responsible for making a scholarship fund or doing something better for my brother, a park, anything. I mean, a street. But they did nothing. They absolutely did nothing. And then they put the two cops that murdered my brother back on the force. So they're out there right now, probably in Minneapolis, getting ready to kill somebody else, and there's nothing we can do about it.
And even that they might even kill somebody. It's just that the fact that the chances for more abuse is there, and then the fact that people are scared when they get pulled over by them. Like,
Right.
ain't you like? I fear for my life, and that's just like, what's gonna happen when? And it's sad to say, what's gonna happen when African Americans start shooting at cops
Right.
because they feared for their life?
Right.
It's like, we can't use the same thing, and y'all trained for this.
Right.
Y'all trained to y'all wake up every day and y'all deal with this, and you giving people that ain't even met you PTSD.
Right. And
And
you want to know I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go
But the
ahead.
crazy thing about that is that the crazy thing about it all is that the way that officer looked, like when he put his hands in his pocket and he laid on that man's neck, it was the same exact video that I saw with my brother. Like, I relived that all over again. And he didn't have a care in the world. He was not worried about that man's life. He wasn't worried about getting charged. He's still not worried about getting charged. Third-degree murder is no sentence at all.
At all.
And it's very important too to tell David's story, because David was playing basketball in the YMCA.
Yes.
And he was a member of the YMCA, and he got the police called on him, and from what all accounts that I've been told, he wasn't being combative. They tased him twice, and then they put their knee on his back and held him down and suffocated him to death, which is really disturbing too, to tell his story. And part of the settlement that the family received was that the police was going to have training, and they were going to do police reform to prevent this type of restraint from ever being used again.
Right.
And we see that didn't happen. So part of the settlement was that they were going to help other people and save other lives, and so there wouldn't be a George Floyd, and so David's life wouldn't be in vain. But the police didn't do that. They didn't uphold, the Minneapolis Police Department didn't uphold their part of the deal. And it's so traumatic for my family to have to experience this trauma all over again and relive this trauma all over again. So last week was a really, really heavy week. And I'm sure it was a heavy week for many families, many victims of police murders, that just call it what it is. It's murder. Murder is murder, no matter who commits it. So police reform is definitely needed. The call for police reform is definitely needed by all community leaders to be vocal about it. No matter if you wear a badge and a uniform or you wear Timberlands and baggy jeans, like if you kill someone, you should be held accountable to the same laws, the same justice system. It should be one justice system, and everyone should be held accountable to it.
And Ike, it's like, I feel like if you're an officer and you make an oath that your sentence should be worse. Because you're obligated to help people. You promised that you was going to help some people, and people hold you to a certain standard. And it feels like people, of course, people in power that, you know what I'm saying, no other people in power just tend to get off on things like that. But it's like your responsibility is more to the community than the average person.
Exactly.
And we getting trumped up, like they said, they gonna charge the other three accordingly to accountability or whatever. And it's like, we get trumped up charges just to make something stick.
Yeah.
Just to make us look bad. Because if you say I did 10 things, they gonna believe I did one.
At least.
Exactly.
Like, you ain't do all of it, but
And then the
right here.
rub the salt in the wound. Then they come back and they try to slander the name of the person they slain. Like,
Right.
you know, in David's case, like I read all these articles, he was mentally ill, he was bipolar. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He was the most beautiful person. He was the most even-keeled person, funny, like caring. He was none of those things. But okay, you want to have a reason for why you killed him or why you used excessive force, so you want to say that. Okay, but he wasn't. Like, my cousin was beautiful. Like, his brother was beautiful. He lost his brother. My other cousins lost their brother. So I hate the way the media portrays the victims, and they further insult the family.
because they love to find your mugshot.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only picture they can get of you. They're like, I got 1,000. Y'all follow my Facebook.
Right.
Y'all can find it.
Right.
But the only picture you found was a mugshot. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I was on Facebook today and I was looking at a post about George Floyd, and a person brought up all his criminal background and different things he had did and how he had abused a woman, I guess, prior to, and things like that. And it's like, this over $20 though.
Right.
That
Why
ain't
is
got
that
nothing to do with what
Why
he
is that
did.
even
Yeah,
relevant?
this ain't got nothing to do with it. It's over a fake $20. And I told somebody yesterday, and I was like, who called the police for a fake 20?
It wasn't even fake. They found out it was real.
Even if it was fake.
It was a conspiracy.
If
man.
it was a fake.
He knew that guy, the cop that murdered him. They worked together at a security.
Yeah, I heard that
club.
too.
So I mean, this thing is systematic. I don't know, it's systematic. They doing this to us, and they're gonna continue to do this to us until we stand up. So in any revolution, you're gonna have looting, you're gonna have riots, you're gonna have people protesting. They're not all the same things. They're three different things, and that's what people got to get clear. You can't just throw them all together and act like a peaceful protest and a riot is the same thing. It's not.
Right.
You can't act like looting and riots are the same. They're not. When people riot in the street, they riot in the street. I mean, they're ready for blood. They're ready for war.
Right.
When people loot, they're ready to steal. Those are thieves. Those aren't
Those are
people
just
that's
thieves.
part of the same group. They're not the same people.
Right.
Because a group of peaceful protesters don't need to go steal. They're trying to fight for their rights so that they can work hard and be Americans and live their lives and not be murdered or gunned down in the street like dogs by police that feel like they got the power. They do have the power, but they don't get held to the standard of a man like me. If I was, like you said, go out and start gunning down cops, they would kill me so fast or lock me up so quick and put me on every social media network, every mainstream
news channel,
network, every news
everything.
channel, and tell the world, look, this scumbag right here, this murdering, and and all this
Right.
other different things. So it's injustice, and we gotta reform it. Like the guys here that got murdered, we gotta talk about that. Nobody's talking about it. They say, oh, he had a gun. Do we really know if he had a gun? Was it their gun?
Police got a gun.
Yeah, they have several guns, so they could have took one of them other guns and throw it in the field, shot him in the back. We don't know. We can't trust police, and we don't trust police, so we need clarity. We need clarification. They got the body cam. They could be. You could twist them videos.
Somebody just got fired other day because
In Louisville?
Yeah, Louisville. He got fired because their cameras were off.
Right.
Do you know what all happened with that situation? I know I didn't get to read all of it.
It's been so much in the news, but I did hear that they turned their cameras off, so they got fired for turning their body cameras off while they shot and killed a man.
And this
So-
just happened, didn't it?
Yeah.
Just
Monday.
happened. And so it's a lot to keep up with. It's a lot to take in. I just want to stress to everybody, take a moment to do a social media fast and step away from it all, because it can be really mentally draining. And we still have to go to work. We still have to deal with people in the workplace. They don't really feel our pain. They don't understand how traumatic this is, but we still have to. We're not okay, but we have to be okay, you know. And that's the plight of being a black person. We're not okay, but we always have to be okay. But we can't let the recent rash of violence and looting distract us from what we really need to get accomplished. And we all need to be calling for police reform, and we all need to be addressing racism in every aspect of the way, and holding people accountable for such, and helping speak out for the victim's family, because they're hurting. And you know, and I know Lewis will tell you, like, you know, it's been so many years that part of the settlement, they were not able to speak out about it.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, so when you get settlements, a lot of times it's gag orders in it where you can't talk about the situation. So they're just now getting this release to talk about it. And so that's why I wanted my cousin to come with me, because I want him to have that release to talk about his brother who was killed by the Minneapolis Police Department. Because George Floyd, I didn't need to watch the video. It was too much for me. But when I saw that, I automatically thought of my cousin. And then when I saw my cousins, you know, crying out because they were hurt and they were traumatized by this, that really hurt me too. So I want Lewis to, you know, to talk. The victim's family need to talk.
I appreciate you guys giving me a voice and a platform to be able to speak about this. This is a touchy subject. It's not easy for me. I get a little choked up even thinking about it, because what it represents everything. I mean, my brother's gone, so I can't even sit here and act like you know, it's gonna bring them back, or getting some more money would do anything to help. But we do need to bring awareness to this and reform these laws, repeal these laws. Like, we got to go back to court on this. My family has to go back to court on this because they failed us. They totally violated our contract. They voided the contract. They breached the contract, and we want answers all the way to the top, all the way to the governor. We're not going to stop. Minnesota, yeah, they're busy, but we're busy. But we still got to stop our lives to have these conversations. I got to stop my day to think about who's going to get killed next. Will it be me? Will it be you? As a black man, we are equal.
Right.
So it could happen to anybody, and we all got family, and somebody needs to say something.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to, you said the first thing we need is police reform. What type of reform would you like to see personally?
I have a whole list, but I think most importantly, the thing that I've been advocating for is for our police advisory council to get more power and get more teeth and become more a review forum. So if any police officer is involved in any kind of fatality, that they need to be reviewed by that Citizens Review Council before they go back to work. Before they receive another paycheck, they need to go through them. That's an independent council with citizens. So I think we need to have a review. We need to have power over who's on the police force.
The police.
Yeah.
I believe a police officer should be just like a man. If you accused of murder, you should be arrested on the spot and charged with murder, and then forced to go to court and prove
Figure it
yourself
out later.
in
Yeah.
court like you do us. Innocent until proven guilty is not true in America. It never has been for a black man. Only white people with enough money to afford that could get that, or even different. But they don't give it to us. If you're a black man, yeah, you could bond out, but they'll make your bond so high that your family will lose everything just to try to prove your innocence before you're proven guilty. And it goes right back to what you said, or they'll trump the charges up so high, the jury you have to have done something.
Yeah.
So it's getting it's been out of hand. I mean, ever since it ever came about, ever since they made a justice system, it wasn't fair for us.
Definitely. You go ahead, Jeff.
A few other ones is the implementation of de-escalation training for law enforcement. I don't know if we already have that here locally, but it seems like a lot of officers, including officers here, don't know how to de-escalate situations before, if anything, they trigger situations and escalate situations. So I think that's really important. Requiring psychological evaluations of police officers before hiring. Requiring the collection of statistical information on excessive use of force complaints. This is something that I'm advocating that should be reviewed by the Citizens Advisory and Review Council. requiring unconscious bias training for all police officers if we already don't have that, and most importantly, a ban on the use of knee holds and choke holds as an acceptable practice for police officers. I think that's really, really important. They shouldn't be restraining people like that. As we've seen with George Floyd, he had handcuffs on and they still was on his neck, literally. So recertification of credentials should be denied for police officers if determined that their use of deadly force was unwarranted by the Citizens Advisory and Review Board. I think if the Citizens Advisory and Review Board say, hey, it was excessive force and it was unwarranted, then they should have their credentials taken away and they should be off the force. And that should be it. We pay for the police. The police works for us. So I think the citizens should have that power to determine if they should be working for us and if their behavior is appropriate.
Definitely.
Power to the people.
Of course. I wanted real quick, wanted to touch on when you said fatalities. I think that any abuse violation should be reviewed because we can't get you to the point where you kill somebody.
Man, you playing with people's lives. You got my life in your hand. As soon as you put me in handcuffs or you put your hands on me, you're physically, whether I'm guilty or not, you're taking control of my life. You got these gizmos and gadgets. You got this big force with brute, big white guys that don't really care much for young black males. It's the truth.
And again, I think that it should be required for community service of the community that they're patrolling.
Right.
Also, I think they should actually live in the city limits.
Right. Exactly.
That they have. Because we can't, we got to stop. The first time I see you shouldn't be when you pulling me over.
Right,
so
right.
I should know who you are. If you drive around my neighborhood every day, I should, because the thing is, y'all have routes. Y'all
How you
same
doing,
area.
Officer
Yeah,
Joe?
exactly. I should be able to say what's up.
Right.
Now there is a couple in Peoria that I know that I talk to, or when I run into one, I try to meet him.
Right.
Just for the simple fact that I want you to remember me if you ever do pull me over. Like,
Yes, sir.
we was cool at Kroger's.
Like friends. We friends.
Yeah.
Don't
Hey,
hurt
buddy.
anybody.
And it's, you know what I'm saying? And it's not that, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, I want to be friends with the police. But no, I want to know who's policing me. And I also want to know that you're not going to assume I'm guilty off top when you meet me.
I want to say one thing. Thank God for marijuana reform because we was harassed so much over little bags of marijuana in your pocket or smoking you a joint or a blunt. They was turning that into major crime.
Not even just that.
Just give you
Just the fact that I can now go. I'm gonna go in your stuff because I smell weed.
Exactly. That's
And that's one thing, because I've gotten into some cops about that, because you're not going to walk up to my car and say, I smell weed.
Something. Yeah, you can say that anyway.
That's not, you're not going to give me.
You can't bag that smell.
You're not going to.
You don't even necessarily have to have smoke. I done been pulled over and they said the same thing to me just to get a reason.
That's what I'm saying.
To get in my car.
Like, that's a lot of times I'm like, I ain't even smoked, so what are you talking about? Like,
Right.
Or I smoked like 2 hours ago.
Right.
I know you don't smell a whole bunch of smoke coming out this car, because I ain't even smoking the car.
I just look like a smoker,
Exactly.
so you're trying to use.
So, because a lot of times I'll tell them, like, oh, I smell smoke. You got anything in the car? Can I see? No,
That's an
you can't.
intimidation tactic.
Yeah, like, no, you can't. But again, that goes back to knowing your rights, not because a lot of people just get nervous. It's the police.
Right.
Let them search my car, and it's like,
no,
just
you gotta speak up.
Just for the simple fact that you can have nothing in your car, and they finna take an hour out of your day. Just for the simple fact of doing that, and it's gonna just leave a bad feeling, a bad taste. So when the next cop pull you over, you already upset.
So think about how your mother feel, or your cousin, or your sister feel when things like they murder you happen. It hurts. It hurts when you wasn't doing anything wrong. They do it on camera. On top of that, and then they turn around and do it again the same exact way in the same exact town. Probably was the same exact cops. Who knows? Well, I know it wasn't. I know the names of the cops that actually did it, but they look like brothers. Mm-hmm. It hurts that you keep doing this. Like me and George could have been brothers. You could have just took another one of my brothers.
And that's the thing. It's like it's coming to the point where people are starting to look at the police force like a gang unit.
They are.
And it's like y'all ride for each other. Real quick,
I actually called it a gang unit. I'm sorry.
No, I know. But no, real quick, I just wanted to speak on this because I had an incident a couple years ago, and it was fishy. I knew what it was gonna turn into off top because me and my brother was in a new white Charger or a Challenger or something, rental car, because that's what we do.
Charger's not even that serious. It's a Charger.
Yeah, we in a white thing or whatever, and we coming down. We going down Gale, and I see the cop look at us, and he turns around.
Instantly.
He turns around. So we driving. I got my son in the back.
Okay.
We driving. We get we almost at Galen Forest Hill, and he follow us to McClure and University. He follow us. Yeah, he follow us all that time.
He's trying to get you to get nervous so that so he could get you to commit.
So when we go to pull over, when we go to take a right onto University off McClure, he puts his lights on. He puts his lights on, but he does it in the weirdest way because he puts his lights on and then gets in the opposite lane of us. So my brother's gonna keep driving and he's just like weaving back and forth behind us in different lanes. So we close to my mama crib. I'm like, we driving to my mama crib
right now.
Yeah, we just gonna keep going. I was like, keep driving. Should I pull over? Nah, we gonna keep driving. I just go to my mama house.
Yeah.
So we get to my mama house or whatever, and he pulls us over. He said, "Why didn't y'all pull over?" I told him, we didn't know what you was doing. We went to the safest location we had.
Did you have probable cause?
Right.
Why did you pull us over?
He says, you said I pulled you over because you didn't stop at the white line at the light to turn right. I said, well, we stopped, but there's a car next to us, so we can turn right. So you got to edge forward to see if traffic coming.
Right.
He says, yeah, I smell weed though.
You got your son in the back, by the way. Yeah, you trying to get to your mama house.
I'm at my mama house. My son in the back. You smell weed. So we like, nah, whatever. He said, can we search the car? My brother looked at me like, should I let him? I was like, nah. Nah, like, we not finna let you because it's not probable cause.
Right.
Like, you have no reason to search the car. And he said, nah, I have a feeling whatever. Backups comes. Apparently he called them. They said they thought we were going to run. They thought we were running.
So now you jump into conclusions. You creating crime. You're making crime. You can't make crime.
So that happens, and then they start talking back and forth, and they try to say what happened. I tell the police officer that's not what happened. This is a story. He pulls me out the car because I'm talking. Obstruction of justice.
All the time, huh?
You know what I'm saying? Obstruction of justice. They love that charge too.
Yeah.
So he pulled me out the car or whatever. Still got my son in the back. Son sleep in the back, don't know what's going on.
Right.
So I got to have my mom come out the house and get my son.
And your son seeing his dad get
seeing
arrested.
me get arrested, put in the back of the car. So
that's messed up.
So he actually ends up, I think he pulls like a tray or something out of my brother's book bag and said, I knew I smell weed.
On a tray? God, that is.
I knew I smelled it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
that is a crazy
what?
story.
And then basically, they took my brother to jail for obstruction of justice. None of that stuff, none of the tickets.
Where the weed at, though?
Yeah, none of that. They just take him to jail for basically talking back to him and not getting out the car when they wanted him to.
Which is illegal.
Exactly, because they actually snatched him out the car. He rolled the window down. Illegal. Yeah, he rolled down the window. They asked him to step out the car. He was like, no, because y'all not searching me. Y'all ain't got no probable cause or nothing. Right. So he actually opens the door from the inside. He reaches in, opens the door, snatches my brother out.
Wow.
So, I mean, after all, I'm not going to sit there or whatever. So I did say my words or whatever, and then I got arrested, put in the back of the car
your son,
to make me shit up.
Your young son, say you didn't make it to your mom's house. What would happen to your son? Where would he go?
Exactly.
That is ridiculous. And
you know what I'm saying? They would call somebody to come get him or some. Now they got DCFS involved because it's supposed
now
to be
you got this
stuff.
open case. It's about nothing. It's destroying lives.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's like at the end of the day, all you did was make my brother spend $250 bonding out, and you gave him a charge that y'all was gonna drop.
Right. You just he wasted your time.
Wasted time, effort, other cops. Y'all wasting our money.
Really,
y'all just called 4 cops over here.
We paying for this, and we
telling them they finna hop out and run like.
They do this every day, man. I'm so emotional about that because I done had my own encounters with them where they done harassed me and booked it up and wrote these charges. I get 15 tickets, like where, how? Pulled over, and that's it.
Right.
You just writing stuff down, and you writing people's life away, and you taking from our kids. If we did that to you, you wouldn't like it.
Taking from our kids,
when
taking
you
from
open
our
that
pockets.
door, that's like running in your house with no warrant. That is unsanctioned, and that's why we need reform, and that's why we here, because we do have power, and they don't know who my family is, and they must not know who your connections is.
Right.
Because we could bring the people to the people, and we could change things. We could change your job. We can get you fired as a cop. You got to know that.
Definitely.
You have to know that.
Definitely, and I'm glad that you actually had a list of things that for reform, Jessica, because we was talking about the rioting, the looting, and the people who are just doing it and don't really know what they want.
Right.
And it's like, again, that's what I say. It's a team thing because we need both because we have this to where they be like, okay, y'all done tore up the whole city. What y'all want?
But yeah,
then
what
you have
mean
those
now,
leaders
yeah.
that come in like, oh, what we want?
Right, the reform.
Right, I got my phone right here. I got my
Right.
phone. I got my list.
We
Yeah,
got
we,
working
we
on
ready.
this.
You
Yeah.
got to stay ready.
Yeah, we been know what we wanted.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, I seen a lot of press conferences yesterday and they were all good, but we need to start addressing the issue. If you want this to stop, if you want people to calm down, start addressing the issues.
Do something.
By you not addressing the issues, you're
making it
further
worse.
you're
Talk
further
about calm down. You ain't gonna give me what I want.
Right.
You see,
like,
me crying.
we,
It's like
we,
your
we
baby
have the
crying.
power. The power resides in many of those people who did the press conference to call about for real justice and real change, to calm the people down. The people ain't gonna calm down by words. They're gonna calm down by real actionable changes. And we deserve as much. The community deserves as much. Like, so time's up, you know, for people to be quiet. Time's up for respectability politics. Time's up for, you know, for us just sitting on our hands. Like, it's time for us all to come together and do what's right. You know, and really do what's right. And I want to shout out to, you know, all the allies that are standing with us, that are being vocal. We see you, we appreciate you. And all the good cops, because not all cops are bad. So to all the good cops who are standing in the gap, I just seen a video on Twitter where, you know, it was a black woman cop that pushed the white cop off people. So thankful to all the good cops out there that are standing up. And it's not easy. I know it's not easy because, you know, it's not easy. It's not easy to be in that position.
In Flint, I have a friend who has family up there, and their sheriff and people actually came out and put all their stuff down and marched with the
people,
protesters.
Yeah.
They put the stuff down. So
That's beautiful.
yeah, you need stuff like that.
And it's not, you know, it's not just issuing a statement. It's not just coming to the protest. It's actually, if you're in a position to make real change and you know that things have been happening in your community, in your city, and you're in a position to make real change, it's not just writing a letter. It's not just coming to the protest and taking a picture and saying that you support. Actually do the actionable goals and do what we need to get done. And if you don't know what needs to be done, reach out to me, reach out to any other community leader and ask what needs to be done. What does the people want?
For all the new listeners tuning in right now, who do they contact?
Who do they contact?
They don't know who. Yeah.
Oh, this is Jessica Thomas. Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all.
Yeah, we got Jessica Thomas in the building. Again, appreciate you tuning in. And then we got her cousin here as well.
Lewis Brown. He's
Yes,
here
I'm
to
Lewis
talk
Brown.
about
I'm
his
here.
brother, David Smith, who was killed by the Minneapolis Police Department in September 2010. He was killed while playing basketball at the YMCA.
At the YMCA, out of all places. They murdered my brother on the YMCA.
And that's all we got.
basketball
We
court.
got hooping. That's all we got.
Man, for talking trash to a white kid.
Really.
That's
While
why the
playing
YMCA
basketball.
called the police. That's what started this whole thing.
Started the whole thing, and it just
And now
spiraled
look
out
where
of
we
control.
at. We in a global rioting situation. Global protests is going everywhere. And our name just hit the top of the list because they linked my brother to Mr. Floyd
Right.
through the fact that he was.
It was the same way he died.
It was already a reform there. So they had to see who's David Smith. What is David Smith? And David Smith is the same
Same
as Mr.
situation
Floyd.
and everything.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, for those who are just joining in to give the background, David C. Smith, I know it was another David Smith
Yeah,
that got
yeah.
killed here in Peoria, but we're talking about David C. Smith. He went to Woodruff High School. He's from Peoria. He was living in Minneapolis. I think he was going to like a career technical
Yeah, he was going to a technical
college in Minneapolis, and he was playing basketball at the YMCA. The police got called on him, and he got tased twice, and he got restrained in a similar fashion to Mr. George Floyd, and he was murdered on a basketball court, and murder by asphyxiation. They suffocated him to death. That was the cause, and the tasing caused him to have a heart attack.
And
So
no
it,
charges.
and there was no charges, but the city did settle with the family, but there was no charges, so there was no justice. But the police reform was supposed to happen. That was supposed to be the silver lining out of the deal, was that the police was supposed to reevaluate the way they apprehend people and to get rid of the knee hold and the choke hold. but they didn't, as we see with
So,
George Floyd.
Basically, my brother's death was supposed to save Mr. Floyd's life.
Pretty much.
And they let my brother down, and they breached our contract. So we here to fight.
Definitely. Another thing I wanted to bring up is how in our own city, and again, we're gonna go into voting in a second. But in our city, there was a protest and everything, and we didn't hear from our mayor or city council until people started rioting. And what they said was, we need to protect our city.
We need Chamba.
And it's like y'all missed the whole point. For one, not stepping up and saying that we have issues in our city that we need to take
And address
care of.
those.
Yeah.
They wrote a statement about them not being in support of the Minneapolis Police Department. But the thing is, let's not get it twisted. The Minneapolis Police Department is in every city in the United States. Like, it's in every city. So no city is exempt. No city is better. Every city pretty much probably has had police-involved fatalities or excessive force used, unnecessary excessive force used on black or brown people. So, I mean, we're not exempt from that. So yeah, that we need to definitely speak out about that.
Injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere, and they letting us down. And in Peoria especially, and I want to touch on this because she is a friend of mine. Vote for Chamba, man. We got to change this thing. If we don't get out there and vote, come the next election, then don't cry about it when Mayor Artis don't care what you have to say, or he's been showing you that for the last 10 years. Like, they don't really want to hear you. So it's time for a change, and that's what we're here for.
Exactly.
Again, I wanted to go back to speaking on voting and the importance of voting. You're currently the county auditor. Just because a lot of people, what we gonna vote for? It's like you gotta do everything to get change.
You do, and like what people don't realize, and there's lessons in everything. So in George Floyd case, there's a lesson. His initial autopsy was done by the medical examiner, which most people don't realize. In most municipalities, the medical examiner is an appointed position that works underneath the sheriff's department. It's different from a coroner in the fact that the coroner is elected by the people. Therefore, they're independent and they're answerable to the people. When you have a medical examiner, the medical examiner is answering to the person who hires them or appoints them, and that would be the sheriff. So the medical examiner did the autopsy, and he attributed George Floyd's death to, I believe, high blood pressure or heart disease or something like that. But when they had an independent autopsy done, they showed that his cause of death was what we all saw with our own eyes, was asphyxiation and suffocation by the knee and the neck. So I think that's right there is very important to show you that elections do matter. Voting for people matters. Whether you think the position is necessary, important, or not, you don't want to be in a position where you find out how important that position is. And a lot of people don't realize how important an elected coroner is. And having an independent voice in there that works for you, because we saw that with George Floyd. And so I think also with George Floyd, because that new autopsy, they're now reevaluating the charges against the police officer. And I believe they're now looking at second-degree murder and not third-degree because of the new autopsy. So that's very, very important for people to know that elections do matter and they have real results. And also, we're seeing also district attorneys and state's attorneys in places. They the ones who does the charging. And
they don't want to.
So those are the most powerful positions in a county, in a municipality. We tried. Like, we tried.
It's time for
We
action.
tried.
Keep doing it
But
now.
like we can't get candidates on there and people don't get out to vote. I can't, I can't advocate and encourage people to run for these positions, and then when we get them there, we don't show up and we don't vote. Like, I mean, elections really do matter, and we got to help each other.
And I think another thing that we have to start realizing and noticing that when the African community in Peoria puts people up for election, it's not just them up for the election. Like, a lot of them have other African Americans on their team that they're working with. So you can't just look at the candidate. You got to look at the whole team.
The bigger picture.
Exactly, the bigger picture, because of their insight, their suggestions, and a lot of times the reform that they bring is not just from them. It's from everybody that's pushing that candidate.
And if the people elect them and the people put them up, then they will be held accountable to the people. You have to pay attention to who's financing these candidates and who's backing these candidates, because that's who they're going to work for.
Right. Especially the African American ones in Peoria. You got to think most of the time when we have an election and we have African American up against somebody who's already there, right, or a new person trying to get in. A lot of times it's somebody that's already there. Peoria been ran down by the same people for years on end. So we have to realize that when we're going to vote, or these people are coming up for an election, that a lot of times we'll not vote for the black person because we know them.
Right.
And
or you heard something about them.
Right. Or it's
or you don't like them.
And the thing is, it's like...
And the hatred, Peoria. That's enough of that. We got to get rid of that hate. Peoria got a stigma of haters, and I'm sick of it personally. I've been here my whole life. If we don't get over that stigma, we got to hate each other because we're from the south side or the east side or the west side. We'd never grow as a people, man. I don't care what gang you bang.
And it's crazy. It's like, y'all want them to help us and not us to help us.
Right.
Y'all want their help, and then know that they're not going to give it to you.
Help starts at home.
You know they're not going to give it to you. But that's no, I'm just saying, like, you know they're not going to give it to you. You know you're not going to get what you want. You're going to have to fight, break necks, and most of the time, you don't even know who it is. You don't even know who you got the problem with.
We came out to vote like y'all come out the loop. We will win every election.
Exactly. Because the thing is, it's like, okay, if I vote Shaman.
Right.
Let's say I vote for Shama.
Right.
And she says, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, right? I know how to pull up on Shama.
Right.
And it's accessibility. It's accessibility.
Exactly.
Like, you know, you can always get a meeting. You know, you can always call her cell phone.
Yeah.
It's accessibility. Just like if we had got, you know, our state's attorney. You know, you could call that person. You know, you can pull up because you elected that person. And that's why we have to take accountability across all fronts. We can't just say, okay, we're going to hold our elected officials accountable. We need to hold ourselves accountable for not being the change that we need. Because it's not like we didn't have the opportunity.
Right.
It's not like we didn't have the opportunity. We had the opportunity. Now, when the opportunity comes in front of us again, we can't fumble that. We can't fumble it.
We don't vote. We vote the wrong people in, and then we be like, vote don't work. Now, I'm going to say this. The president and everybody, I don't know why, when we be like, go vote, they be like, Electoral College. Like, is that the only thing y'all know that y'all got to vote for? Like, president is like, it's like 3 pages on that joint when you go vote. Mm-hmm. It's like 3-4 pages, sometimes 7.
Right.
And that's not the only person you're voting for. And the thing is, again, if you're in Peoria and they say this African American won by numbers, and but they're not going to win the election, now we have a problem. Right. Now you can say this don't work.
Yeah, and we don't have an electoral college locally. That is a national thing. But what we also got to realize too, there is an election on November 3rd, 2020. Early voting starts. I think we have like 6 weeks of early voting. We have vote by mail now, so it's really no excuse for people not to vote. So if you're calling about for change, but you're not an active participant in the you know,
and it's like, just vote. Y'all
it costs you no.
In Illinois, yeah.
Okay.
You're a felon.
So felons don't be using that as an excuse. I heard a lot of people say that.
Exactly. That's really important.
Say you don't know.
Yeah,
if you don't know, you don't know.
Or ask somebody. You know. And another thing too, like the census. The census 2020. That's really important too for all of us to get counted, because that's where we get our resources from the federal government. That's where we get our representation on a national level. So the census is really important. So if you out there, you know, doing whatever you're doing to cause, you know, attention and bring attention, you need to be doing what you need to be doing by voting and doing the census. If
you can go online and vote for celebrity this or vote for, like, it's honestly, your vote don't matter for that either. Yo, people be up. I'm not trying to knock nobody. Artists be like, go on this website and vote for me so I can do this concert, and y'all go vote for them.
And they don't go vote for the...
Your vote don't matter then.
Or don't do the census, and then we wonder why we don't have resources and our streets look crazy. Like,
yeah, it's like, just go, like, it literally takes, like, you can register and vote the same day.
It takes
Register and
8
vote the
minutes
same
to
day.
do the census.
Yeah, the census is like
It
it
takes
took me
8
about
minutes. It's a questionnaire. You don't even
yeah, it
really
took
have
me
to know
about
that
5
much.
minutes because I ain't got no children, so
Right,
it's just
right.
me. It was just me.
Nah, yeah,
It's just
nah,
me.
nah, yeah.
I'm here. I live here. Thanks.
Right.
For real. I got the area code.
Got to get counted, man. We got to be counted. We got to be accounted for, and we need to be accountable for our own actions also.
Preach.
Don't put yourself in harm's way dealing with these folks, man. I see a lot of people out here taunting these police like they won't gun you down. They will gun you down if y'all keep running up on them like that or riding around all crazy in these cars hitting these streets like that.
And we want everybody to live. We want
Yeah,
everybody to be
right.
safe. Like
Y'all wildin', but they nervous. Y'all,
Yeah, y'all
and
getting
I've been,
scared.
people been listening to the scanner. Y'all been running the boys around.
Y'all street boys know what a scary man to do to you.
Right. And back to, I think I just lost it. Yeah, I had it. I had it.
It'll come back to you.
The show floated off. What was we talking about?
We was talking about them guys, taunting the police. You can't taunt
Yeah,
the police.
taunting the police and doing things like that, but also taking accountability in your own neighborhood.
And for
you
your
need to
own
get
self,
counted.
yeah.
This is what I wanted to say. It did come back to me. You cannot, I want to say, you cannot be mad at a system that you try to live outside of. I want to say that too. You have to, in order to get the system to change, you have to start diving into the system.
And participate.
Yeah, because if you're not a participant, they don't care. Right. I'm not going to care if you're, honestly, if you're not going to vote for me, I don't care. Because you're not pulling up and you're not asking questions. And I don't even know what you want.
You don't have a voice.
I don't even know what you want. So
and they feel like they don't even have to come talk to you because they was like, I know this whole zip code don't turn out to vote.
Yeah, they ain't gonna turn
so
out to
we
vote.
ain't even
So
gotta
I'm gonna
come.
win anyway.
Yeah, we ain't even gotta address them or come
to
talk to them.
People like, well, when
Those
people,
are inmates.
When
That's what
people
they
when
call
people
them.
get in politics, they have their own agenda. Well, when you do anything, you have your own agenda, but there's certain things you have to do to even get your agenda across, and it's politics is a give and take. Give and take. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, they want certain things, but they know to stay in office, they got to do what you want. The thing, Peoria, they've come accustomed to us not voting, so they know that they're not obligated to give us anything, and they're going to stay there for 12, 16, 20 years. Like, I say, like, I'd rather give a new person, it's like president, give a new person a shot. If you don't like it, get them out of there.
Right.
That's just what it is. But don't say I'm not gonna give this new person a chance because I don't know, so I ain't gonna vote. But your city has been declining, and you see it, and you don't like it, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna move. Well, it's other people. Your cousin may not be moving. Your baby mama may not be moving, and you want to move, or you can't move. Like, it's so much stuff that keeps so many people here and brings so many people back.
And also be supportive and help the elected official that you get elected, because it's not easy when you get one person there.
Right.
Like with me, I have to deal with the whole county board, you know.
Right.
So like me being one person is not enough. So if you are supportive of the candidate, like the city council people, they can't make changes all on their own. They only have one vote. But be supportive of them and work with them, and then encourage other people to run that will be allies to support their mission to get your work across. But we have to be patient, and even with like Barack Obama, a lot of people are like, well, what did he do? But people didn't realize he had a House of Representatives and a Senate that said that they would block him by any means necessary. Like, so we have to realize it's more than just one player in that. We have to vote in all elections, and we have to get people who will support the agenda of the person in charge so we can have stuff happen. Like, it's bigger than...
It's a team game.
It's a team game. You can't run the whole game by yourself, especially when you got all these people adamant to block you so you won't have any success. We have to remember that too.
You can't vote who you want and be like, okay, they're gonna do what I want.
And then not vote again.
Not check
And
up
not
on them or
support
nothing.
it.
We can't keep living with these broken policies is what we can't be living on.
Right.
These old 1918 statistics, or what they think Peoria should be. Peoria could be a beautiful town.
It used to be.
They won't allow it to be. They won't allow us to. But then now they're trying to get tax incentives to rebuild up the South End and things like that. That should have been happening. That should have happened years ago.
Right.
You should have made that available to the people that was already living there before you was trying to push them out of there.
Exactly.
So that you can
and y'all can
gentrify
run
the
for
land.
office too. Like, everybody can run for office. You don't have to, like, you know, Lewis, you speaking facts right now. Like, you can run for city council. Like,
I
like,
may. Let me get a vote.
yeah, I mean, empower your friends. You know,
Right.
that, you know, if they speaking facts and they fighting for their community, empower them to run for something.
Or
Right.
just to empower them to get involved
Yeah.
in,
Involved
in
in
local
it. Get out
government
there and let 'em see
and
you
local
shine,
government,
man.
like
Keep shining.
anything, like become a police officer, become a probation officer,
Right.
become a lawyer, become things that we need people from our
Become the
place.
change.
Yeah, that's the way
That's the model.
that's the way it
Become
To
changed.
see the
because
change, you got to be the change.
you got to have a certain amount of people from our end matching up with them, because if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So if
Right.
we not
Ooh, I
there
like that.
wondering what's going on, and we getting hit with different bills and legislation, and we like, what happened? It was like, oh, they talked about this on city hall on
Right.
Tuesday, and they passed it.
You
And it's
didn't
like
know.
you didn't even know.
You wasn't there.
You like, man, what's up with this sewer bill? We got a sewer bill now. And it's like, yeah,
stormwater bill.
they talked about it for 3
A
sessions.
rainwater bill.
Right, a
If you're
rainwater,
property-
yeah.
If you got a property and you pay them property
You gotta
taxes,
pay for it to
know
rain.
You pay for that rain.
So
Crazy.
different taxes and different things like that. People are like, oh, this is horrible. We got to leave. It's like, you just leaving them in office, though. It's like you
Right.
got to make a change, because a lot of these guys been in
Broken
office for
policy.
years. A lot of these people aren't from our neighborhood, so
Right.
they don't even see it. They don't go down there.
So it's self accountability.
Exactly.
So we got to hold our elected officials accountable, but we need to look in the mirror and hold ourselves accountable
And take
too.
care of our own stuff. Like we protesting and looting and everything, and then we fighting and shooting at each other. It's like you can't do both at the same time, man. 'Cause they gonna just look. They gonna be look at them N-words.
You want to live or die.
That's
man.
that's what they gonna look at it like. Like y'all want this stuff, but y'all tearing up y'all stuff, tearing up
Right.
our stuff, fighting each other. Shoot, what are
What
y'all
do you wanna
doing?
do, yeah.
What are y'all doing?
It's kind of
What do you want?
manic, man. When you think about it, it's kind of up and down. You know what I mean?
Right.
One hand is not washing the other. You got to make sure that we mix and match. We got to mix and match, man. You got to make sure that you do be responsible. Hold yourself accountable. Tell yourself, I know this wrong. What am I doing this for? Because if you don't take accountability, you're going down. Like people gonna snitch on you. The people will turn on you.
All that, and then it's like, again, the system not for you. I get that we're put in conditions that mess us up with financial problems and stuff. So I'm not even gonna lie. I don't condone or condemn hustlers. I don't.
Right.
Just because United States been hustling for
Man, you gotta
since the
feed your
beginning.
family, man.
You know what I'm
By
saying?
all means.
But like, the stupid crime that you know that they gon'
Looking
give you
for it.
years
30
and stuff
years
for
for
it, and not even like me. You get in a situation where you did something stupid, right? And then they be like, okay, you got 8 months. You finna do 8 months in jail. Well, I can do 8 months in jail, but you got 5 years of probation.
Right.
You be like, 5? I
Yeah,
can't mess
right.
up for 5 years?
At
Oh,
all.
yeah, or else you gonna go for 4 years. You be
Right.
like,
What kind of deal is that? Like, I'd
So-
rather do 9 months and get it over with.
right, like, can I take 13 months or something?
Right.
But it's like, this again, until the system change, you gotta know what the system is and play it the right way,
And
and
another
just try to
thing,
be
man.
smart, because they gonna nail you to the wall every time.
Know your rights, man. So many people cop out here and take their deal when they don't necessarily have to fight for your life. If you righteous, you righteous. But if you wrong, you got to do what you got
I
to do.
think
I understand, but
I'm
try
not
to
gonna
fight,
be.
man. Or try to get you a lawyer or some kind of counsel
Well, they play us
that
with
could
the lawyer thing.
advise you on what to do, because there's people taking crazy deals that's
If you
that's
can't afford a
totally-
lawyer, you can't afford to go to jail.
Right,
But,
that's true. Don't do the crime if you don't want to do the time. Is what he's
Right, you
saying.
can't get out. But just knowing your laws and knowing what you can and can't do. Lawyers are heavy to come by. They gonna slam you. They gonna bring up your past. You might have did something when you was 13 and you 28 now, and they be like, but remember when you was 13? You was like, I was just a kid.
But now you grown.
Right, but now you're grown. You did it twice.
Right.
But you just gotta pay attention to that. That the system's not for you until we get reformed. We have to fight for it, but until you get reformed, you gotta just pay attention to what you're doing. Hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Vote reform.
And hold your loved ones accountable too. Like, you know, everybody calling for change right now. You know, ask them when the last time they voted. And you know, it's no judgment, but like, let's do better in November 3rd. November 3rd is the next election. Let's do better for November 3rd, because if we don't, we'll be stuck with people for 4 years
For another foe.
And this been a hard 4 years.
Been hard.
So
12.
we yeah. I mean,
Ain't nothing easy about these last 12 years.
but we really have to hold everybody accountable and do better, and be safe, Peoria. That's my major thing. Be safe. I don't want to see nobody getting shot, stabbed, all the other crazy stuff that's been happening lately. More families hurting. Like
I heard what Junction City had their owners up on the roof with guns and
AKs
stuff,
and
ready
all
to
that,
get on anybody who was looting. I know that liquor store. Well, after the situation, we're gonna talk about that real quick. The situation at the liquor store.
Yeah.
But I know last night at Lammy Liquors, they was outside with their guns and stuff, protecting their property and things like that.
He got slack. They didn't out there at Junction City because Junction City's not on the south side. But the man was doing the same thing. It was identical, same picture, just two different men and two different races.
Right.
The outrage comes with race. It only comes with race. White men feel like they're entitled to guns. That's why they try to make black men felons, take all their weapons, so that they can turn their weapons on us.
But I mean, real talk. Let's get real for a minute. You can't blame anybody for protecting their property.
Oh no,
You
I'm not mad at them at all.
You can't blame anyone for protecting their property. We just got to be mindful, and I just want us to know that that's not the best way.
Right.
But I'm not condoning or condemning, but I want people to be safe. I want people to live another day. I want people to live to see the justice and live to see the change.
Equality, man. We need equality.
Y'all just got to be careful.
Equality and self-sufficiency.
Yes, sir.
We have to become more self-sufficient on our own people and stop knocking everybody for trying. Because I know a lot of people, because you can't just afford storefronts. So a lot of people come up with their thing.
Transparency is going to be a big thing, too. We can't have it hid from us, and we can't have them hiding from us. You can't hide it from us. We need to see it. So transparency is going to be a big thing also. Like I said.
Definitely. Just real quick, I want to talk about the issue that happened at Sterling Plaza, where I guess they had got it. It was said that he stole something, but I don't know about that story. A lot of people I know him personally. I kind of know him personally, but they said they got into it, and he decided to protect his property and shoot him in both legs. But the thing is, shot him in both legs. The thing is, he shot him outside his store.
Wow.
So I mean, the two were arrested on the spot.
Right.
I think the liquor store is currently boarded up. I don't know if they took him down yet, but it's like
they both were charged too.
Huh?
After he got shot, he got charged with aggravated battery.
For real?
Yeah,
for fighting in the store? For fighting in the store?
Yeah, he was charged with aggravated battery also.
You gonna get thrown with something again, like we said. You gonna get hit with something.
So now you got to think he got 2 bullets in his leg, and he still
he
got
facing
to
the charge.
Go
And
to jail
and
all that.
Pending if he got anything, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, already going against him.
Already going against him. So we got to be smart and intentional with our actions, man. And right now, it's a shaky time. Everybody on edge. Everybody nervous. Everybody.
And everybody forgot COVID-19 is out here too. So
put your mask on.
Put your mask on.
Put your mask on.
Yourself.
Y'all, I've been seeing people
Protect
kicking
the
it all up
elderly,
in
man.
it. Yeah.
So don't be around your grandma.
Yeah, if you gonna do, if you don't care, just care about the people around you.
Right.
And don't be around there. I ain't seen my mom in 3 months.
Right. I mean,